Hi gamers, it's Marina, and today they just announced a brand new set of reveals. Today it's elementals, some more trinkets since we have a whole bunch that we still haven't seen yet. But yeah, we're just gonna jump into it today with the brand new elementals. The first one we have here is Bountiful Bedrock, which is a new tier 3. At the end of every 2 turns, get a random elemental. This one seems okay. My first initial thoughts are this doesn't seem like it works with the Azurite setup. We already know that Azurite is staying in the game. Also, Azurite got changed today in a patch up to tier 4. So we'll keep that in mind today when we're looking at stuff. But Azurite got changed to tier 4. This is a new tier 3, sorta in its not in its place, but you know, taking up a tier 3 slot that Azurite used to take. I don't know, elemental cycling was not very strong this season. We'll have to see how that ends up looking. But the main thing is free cards, which is cool. The front Drake that is no longer in the game was very popular when that was around, and that gave you a free dragon every 3 turns. So getting a free card every 2 turns, yeah, that's pretty decent, especially if you can get this early. I think that would be cool. And you get 2 random elementals if you have the gold version. Alright, our next new elemental, Sleeping Sea Glass. This is a choose 1, double your minions' attack or health. And on first glance, this doesn't seem like the best minion ever because it's a 6-3 or a 3-6 when you play it, depending on which one you choose. But that is if your tavern is not scaled. If you've been scaling your tavern, or let's say you've been playing Azurite and you're seeing this later in the game, well, this could be sitting in your tavern at like 60-60 or even bigger, and you play this thing and all of a sudden it's a 120-60 or a 60-120, right? And if you're grabbing multiple of these and you make it golden, it'll stack up all those stats, of course, like normal, but then you get to triple the attack or the health when you play that golden version again. So I think this is going to be something that if you're playing Azurite and you're getting your tavern really big, you're going to want to try to grab this. This seems like a pretty good card for elemental tavern scaling for sure. And our final new card is Moss of the Schloss. And this is whenever another friendly elemental dies, gain its maximum stats once per combat. This, I feel like this is self-explanatory. This, again, if you're playing elemental scaling, if you've been playing that Azurite scaling or something and you have those giant elementals, you run this at the back of your board. You have some of your big elementals die, and this thing gets even bigger. Yeah, this seems like it's gonna be a good card. It seems like elementals are getting an even bigger buff to where they are. We'll have to see what they have removed. I'm sure we'll see in just a second. All right, it looks like we have 2 changes to elementals, cards that are staying but being changed. One is Landlubber. It looks like the text is completely the same. The only change is this is being moved from a tier 5, I believe is where it's sitting right now, down to a tier 3. So this was a tier 2 at one point, I want to say. And it was very, very strong. Like, this was just something that people instantly grabbed every time it was on the tavern, no matter what they were playing, because it gave you extra spells. It was nice to have. This being back at tier 3, I think is going to make it more accessible for people. It just wasn't really that great of a card at tier 5. So we'll see more of this, which is nice. The other change we have here is a Wildfire Elemental. It looks like this is not a text change either. This is just moving from tier 3 to tier 4. As far as the minions, we're losing Magmalock and Marine Matriarch. Magmalock, I don't think was getting a lot of play this season. I basically never saw it in games. It just wasn't as strong. Cycling elementals was not as big. Azurite was really the go-to play this season, I feel like. And Marine Matriarch, well, Marine Matriarch is going to be missed. This card I don't think got as much play as it could have because it's a tier 5. You didn't see it as much unless you happened to get lucky and happened to get it in an Azurite build when it was really giant and you were using it to play some spells. But I'm going to miss it. I wish we could have gotten maybe a tier 4 version of it or something before it was gone. But yeah, it's out. We'll have to see what else we can do for spells. We got a bunch of new trinket reveals today. These are some more lesser trinkets. Let's take a look at these. First one we have here is Dalaran Cheese Wheel. Minions in the tavern have +1/+1 and upgrades every 3 times you refresh. So we're looking at something that is incentivizing you to be refreshing your tavern so that you can get tavern scaling. So you're spending 3 gold basically to give your tavern minions +1/+1. The value in this doesn't seem great. Also, typically when it's worded you refresh, it does not count the tavern refreshing per turn. So this would mean that you have to spend the gold to refresh. I don't know, this doesn't seem good unless you have some kind of elemental build or something where you're going to be refreshing for free. Or demons, if we still have demon cards that are going to allow us to refresh for free. Or I guess I should say the cost of health. Yeah, then we might see something here. But otherwise, I don't know. We'll really have to see. Our next reveal here is Darnassus Pie. Minions in the tavern have +1/+1 for each minion you've sold this turn. Another one that doesn't really scream at me that it's amazing. For certain builds, sure. If you're playing Gallywix and cycling a whole bunch of stuff, or you're playing Pirates and you're cycling a whole bunch of stuff, you might use this. It's cheap. It's a 1 cost, but I think there's a lot better trinkets out there. Our next reveal is Demon Blood Gourd. This is a spellcraft. Choose a friendly minion. It consumes a random minion in the tavern to gain its stats. This one is kind of cool if you're doing tavern scaling. And what I like about this is a friendly minion. It's not a demon. Typically, when you see tavern scaling, it's related to demons and consuming minions. So this means if you have something else on your board and you're already playing a consume demon build, you can give that other thing some extra stats. So this is pretty nice. It only costs 1. I think this is better than the last 2 that we've seen. I like this one. Our next reveal is Fellblood Portrait. Get a slimy Fellblood. Your fiery and slimy Fellbloods give attack and health. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, see? So this I think is way better than the Dalaran Cheese Wheel. Right? Just my initial thoughts. Maybe I'm missing something with the Cheese Wheel, but getting this now means that if you get a fiery Fellblood which has a death rattle, it actually has a lot more use, because fiery just gives attack normally on its own. Now fiery giving you attack and health makes that card so much better. Health is very, very, very important in Battlegrounds. There are so many times when you can get a fiery scaling going off and you have something with like 50 attack but 2 health, and it doesn't matter because it dies after one hit on a minion. So this is going to be a lot better for tavern scaling builds. I'm going to be excited every time I see this trinket. The next reveal we have here is Kodo Leather Pouch. After you buy a card, give a random friendly minion +2/+1. If you're cycling a lot of cards, if you're like buying a lot of spells or something, I guess this could be okay. This feels like it's gonna be nice for a few turns, and then the +2/+1 is just gonna fall off in terms of late game scaling. Seems okay. Our next reveal is a Lava Lamp. After you sell 4 minions, get a random elemental. It looks like they're trying to push elemental cycling with this. I don't know if elemental cycling is going to be a thing. any more than it was this past season. I haven't seen any cards to indicate to me that it's going to be a thing, but I don't know. Maybe this trinket will help with that. The trinket also just gives you a free minion every 4 cells, so if you're already playing something with cycling, this isn't the worst thing. If you're like playing Gallywix or something and you're going to be selling stuff anyway, and you're like, whatever, might as well take something that synergizes because your other options are not at all synergistic, then this could be an option there. Alright, our next one is Nomi Sticker. After you play an elemental, elementals in the tavern have +1/+1 this game. Okay. That sounds like elemental cycling. That sounds like something that actually is pretty decent. We've been missing that. We used to have elemental cycling buff the tavern, and it got replaced basically by Azurite builds. So it's interesting seeing this come back in the form of a trinket. I can see this being comboed with Azurite for a bit of extra scaling. If you're running that new minion where you get a free elemental every 2 turns or something like that. Yeah, potentially. And when you're playing Azurite build, you do end up cycling elementals anyway because you're cycling up to get bigger elementals. It's a little bit of extra scaling. We'll see if this is a game changer or not. And our last lesser trinket, Primordial Terrarium. After you play an elemental, your next tavern spell costs 1 less. This seems like it works with our Azurite staple build and cycling stuff out. You're making your spells cheaper. You also can cycle things like Elemental to get your next spell to cost 2 less. I'm assuming this stacks. I don't see why it wouldn't. Yeah, overall this seems pretty decent. I think of the elemental reveals that they showed here, I probably like Nomi the most. Primordial Terrarium, I think, is also going to be decent. I think Lava Lamp seems like the weakest, but again, we'll see. And Lava Lamp is 3 gold compared to the other ones being 4 gold. Alright, we have some greater trinket reveals here. Our first one is Azurite Portrait. Get a living Azurite, and your living Azurites also give stats to friendly elementals. Alright, by far, this is my favorite one I've seen so far. It is a greater trinket, so it makes sense that it's stronger than any of the other ones that we just saw. Getting an Azurite is always nice. Giving your living Azurites the ability to now buff your board, I think, is super cool. This is a greater trinket, so that means you're getting it on turn 9. By turn 9, you have hopefully already been playing Azurites. This feels like it's going to be a, you really hope you grab it. It's obviously not going to be guaranteed in the giant pool of trinkets. I don't think you grab this if you're not playing Azurite already by turn 9. That seems really late to like shift, but if you're doing anything where this makes sense, this seems like it would be good. But this is basically one where if you already have an Azurite on your board, maybe 2, maybe a gold one, you see this is a guaranteed pick. You get another Azurite, you keep playing your skills like you've been doing, and now you're getting that extra scaling on your board as well. That's fun. I don't know. We'll have to see it. We'll have to see it in the wild. The next reveal is Dalaran Cheese Wheel. So this is an upgraded version. Minions in the tavern have +2/+2 upgrades every 3 times you refresh. This is better than the other one. Obviously has a greater trinket, but spending 3 gold to give minions +2/+2. Sure. I think that could be okay, but again, it's turn 9. Unless they really do something to slow down these games, I just feel like so many of these are gonna feel weaker. The biggest problem that we found this season, playing duos primarily, is that some games were over in like 11, 12 turns. So by the time you get these cool greater trinkets, do you even have time to let them like breathe? Can you use them? I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm in favor of games lasting longer so people have more time to do cool things, but who knows with the meta. It's been very aggressive. I hope that changes. Our next one is also an upgraded Darnassus Pie. This time, minions in the tavern are +2/+2 for each minion you've sold this turn. Yeah, sure. I think if you're playing something with cycling, at this point, by turn 9, you've locked in a decent cycling build if you're going to play cycling. If you get this and you're playing cycling, awesome. I think that's that's kind of what it is. Jarred Frostling. At the start of combat, give 2 friendly elementals Death Rattle. Summon a Flourishing Frostling. That's not bad. my initial thoughts is this actually seems pretty decent, but if you're not cycling a lot of elementals, the Flourishing Frostling is not gonna be very big. So you definitely grab this if you know that you've been cycling enough elementals for this to be of decent size. Otherwise, not particularly great. Here we have an upgrade to Kodo Leather Pouch. After you buy a card, give a friendly minion +4/+4. This is way better. This is nice. At turn 9, giving a minion +4/+4, I think that's pretty decent. I think this actually is the better choice if you're playing something like APM Pirates than the Darnassus Pie, because you're giving minions in the tavern stats, which usually at that point you already have stuff on your board that you want to be scaling. So this is better because it's going to be scaling the stuff on your board instead of the stuff in the tavern. So I like this one. The lesser version was not as exciting, but +4/+4 per card, that's pretty decent. Even at turn 9, like that can be really good if you're sitting on a ton of gold every single turn. Our next one we have here is Nomi sticker. So this is an upgrade to the other Nomi sticker. After you play an elemental, elementals in the tavern have +2/+2 this game. If you've been playing elemental cycling, this is great. You keep doing that. Although I will say, again, same issue. It's turn 9, much later in the game. How much value are you going to get out of this until the game ends? I don't know. We'll have to see. And our last card today, our last trinket reveal, is Shaman Prayer Beads. After you buy 2 Battlecry minions, get a random Battlecry minion. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be good or not. That depends on the state of dragons, I think. Unless they do some wild shake-up to some other tribe, and they give them, like, the benefit of battle cries. But right now, dragons basically were only viable with combat buffs that you were keeping through Terragosa and Poet. We had Kalagos, but Kalagos was never played. Like, on very rare occasions where you just happen to get the cards to fall in your lap early enough for them to be worth it, you might have seen a Kalagos. But otherwise, you didn't see Kalagos at all. Like, most people just stopped at tier 4 and then went to tier 5 conditionally and didn't care about the tier 6 dragons. If we have some more synergy with battle cries and we have Kalagos still, this could be pretty good if you're playing battle cry cycling. But turn 9, I think if you happen to have like a Kalagos in your tavern turn 9, or you're playing someone who gives you an early tier 6 and you get that by turn 9 and it's Kalagos, then yeah, this is a good situation. But I don't know, with how big this pool of trinkets is, I don't know how often we're gonna be getting that great trinket that perfectly synergizes with our board, and not just a bunch of stuff that feels like trash that doesn't help us in any way. Alright gamers, that's everything for today. Thank you for joining me. Please make sure you subscribe, as we're going to be dropping more of these videos every day that they have a reveal. So catch us in the next one. Yeah.